Hey there, I'm Ryan DeSalta, and welcome to Tour Confidential, presented by FootJoy, the #1 shoe in golf. Joining me from our New York City studios in Manhattan is Michael Walker of Golf.com and Josh Sens via Skype, contributor to Golf Magazine. And guys, the Florida swing has begun, which means we're only about 5 weeks away from our first major of the year. Mike, starting to think about favorites for the Masters coming up in April here. I guess let's start with the big names. Who you got on your board as kind of someone to keep an eye on?
Yeah, I mean, I do think when it comes to Augusta National that sort of ownership of the property changes hands every like 5 or 6 years. And we saw Faldo had it, and then Tiger had it, and then Mickelson had it, and now I think Watson has it. Until I hear differently, Bubba Watson's going to be my favorite there. I mean, I think there's a lot of guys you look at, but for me, Bubba Watson, defending champ, 2 of the last 3 years, is the top favorite in my book.
Josh, what do you think? I mean, Rory McIlroy, Vegas has him as the odds-on favorite here. Is it his tournament to lose as he goes for the career Grand Slam?
You know, I don't see how you can have anybody but Rory as your favorite right now. Despite what Bubba's done there, Rory's got his game back in sync. His problems are behind him, mostly the struggles that he had a couple of years ago. I think the only thing that'll stop Rory is wanting it too much, you know, to get that career Grand Slam. So there's so much build-up, so much expectation. But he's shown that he can handle it, and I think you got to take him as your odds-on favorite.
It seems like this has been a young man's tournament. The last 4 champions, Bubba twice now, all have been under the age of 35. Mike, do you think it's the young guns tournament here, the guys like Spieth, Fowler, Jason Day, or could we see a veteran, you know, kind of emerge like Mickelson did a few years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I still think Phil Mickelson is a guy you need to talk about when you talk about the Masters. I mean, this week, you know, he played pretty well. I think that Mickelson still, if he has the hot putting week and his comfort on the course, you have to look at him. I think McIlroy is fascinating here because, I mean, like Josh said, he is, you know, he won the last 2 majors. He's playing great. You'd think he'd be the favorite. But he's got a lot of history at Augusta National for a guy who's, you know, 25 years old. I mean, he had the 80 in 2011. He lost to the marker when he was paired with him on Saturday yesterday, right, but still finished 8th. So, I mean, of all the courses he's had, that one's, I think, the one that's in his head. I think it's fascinating to watch him play it. But I think he's had enough history there where I'm, you know, when you see Rory on 10 on Sunday, you're going to wonder, you know?
Yeah, you think about those cabins to the left of the fairway, whether that gets in his head. Josh, what do you think?
Sure. Another guy who comes to mind is Patrick Reed. He's won 4 times already. His game is really rounding into form. He doesn't have the experience at Augusta that some of the other guys have. He just doesn't have, and it's a course where you got to play. It's very rare for a rookie to win. He's shown that he's got the steel. He's got the fire. He's the kind of guy who could take it there too.
And he went to school right down the block, right, at Augusta
Right.
State.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah, so he's
figure he probably has played there once or twice. Guys, any names we're not talking about? Sleepers. You haven't seen maybe since Charles Schwartzel when he emerged out of nowhere to win at Augusta. Any names that were not, you know, out of the top 5 we're talking about that you see emerging at Augusta?
I mean, there's always guys who seem to play well there. I mean, Tim Clark historically always played well there. Jonas Plixt really, I thought, made a run at it last year. So there's those guys who I think when you look at who's played well there in the past. But it is a course that the cream rises to the top at. And I think, you know, not barring some sort of severe weather where the course plays differently, I think the small group of names that we're talking about are really the guys who can contend here.
You got a pick, Mike?
Oh, Bubba, all the way.
You're going Bubba. What about you, Josh? Sleeper, or are you kind of going with taking Rory against the field here?
No, I mean, I don't know if I'd call him a sleeper since he's been in the tournament before. He's had his chances, but Snedeker's game is looking pretty sharp. He's working with Harman, did it at Pebble. He can putt. That's a pretty good combination at Augusta.
All right, thank you all for joining us here on Tour Confidential on Golf.com, presented by FootJoy, the #1 shoe in golf. FootJoy invites you to step into the next big thing with the all-new HyperFlex golf shoe. You can find out more on FootJoy.com.